So, is Indra Swami and his crew of Kirtan festivals in Rishikesh being racist?
Ask me now, I am my sheep.
Don't touch me.
Okay, good.
Because they make it a point to try to make Indians, local Indians, understand that the evening slot, given the limited space, in that area, is for international people. That's the question of this video today.
Come to me.
Now, I have two positions on it, and I'm kind of like 20% on the first one, which I'll explain now, and 80% convinced on the second one, which if you just stick around, you'll hear the arguments. I'm making this video because at least 2 or 3 viral reels on Instagram and YouTube came out where there's some local Hindu Indians who are like up in arms about how racist, this Rishikesh program is, and how dare they come on our Indian soil and don't allow us Indians to participate. And they're like, to a cringe level, making a huge hue and cry about it.
How can you do something like that, like in my own country?
Are they justified? Now, on the one hand, they are. On the one hand, Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmani Gavihashtini Shuni Chaiva Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha. A spiritualist should have a vision of equality, should be able to see the equality of all beings, should see the soul and not the outer body, and therefore there should be no question of selecting souls in this type of body versus souls in those types of bodies to come and participate in what we can call the Yuga Dharma, the process for Kali Yuga, for attaining self-realization, namely Harinam Sankirtan, chanting together the names of God. And therefore, if someone is discriminating, oh, you're Indian and you're international, or you're white, you're European, what kind of spiritual person is that? Good point. On a more mundane material level, which is not to be ignored either, it's not as ontologically profound, but it has validity. Rishikesh is in India, the nation state of India, and so you would think that locals who are born in that nation state should not be discriminated against. On the contrary, they should have first access to any type of cultural or religious program taking place on their own home turf. Okay, I'll grant that. Anyone who has some intelligence, I assume, would agree with that. So as I said, I stand about 20% on these points that I just made. But here's where I'm like, come on lady, come on guy. Stop acting like a little child, a little entitled brat. And before I explain, let me give you a reverse scenario. And you tell me if my reverse scenario here makes sense. Imagine the reverse scenario. Imagine we're talking about a Christian outreach program in the United States of America. Now remember, America has, a minority Muslim, a minority Jewish, a minority Hindu, a minority Native American, pockets of XYZ religion. But by far, the main religion in America is Christianity, Protestant Christianity to be precise. Just like Hinduism, and we would hope for all times to be, or Sanatan Dharma, because if Hinduism becomes political and racist, and that's why I'm like, seriously? You're gonna start talking about racism when you guys are so racist among yourselves? But I'll deal with that in a few minutes if you spare me. So imagine America, and you've got Indians from India who have converted to Christianity, okay? And they're coming to America. And they're organizing a big program, and they're targeting non-Christian Indians, let's say non-Christian Hindus in America. And they're doing a whole program with the specific, target or to specific goal of attracting these, non-Christian Indians. And assuming, let's say I was a Christian, an American, at least I'm American, coming from a Christian background, I wouldn't be making a big hue and cry. I wouldn't be like, oh, this is my country. Like, this is my religion. Why can't you let me in? I'd be like, oh my God, you're trying to get people, from India in this country to convert to the religion of my country, to convert to my religion. By all means, have the whole place to yourself. And if you need anything, I'm rooting for you. And I'm willing to help you in any way, just let me know. But of course I'm gonna leave my place for those people, because that's the target audience. And I'm so grateful that you're coming to my country and you're trying to bring people from, who are not church, so to speak, to convert to my religion. Thank you so much. What a wonderful service. Let me root you on and give you all the space you need. So on the one side, and I've had experience going to India for 32 years, having converted to Vaishnavism, and this has nothing to do with colonial, because I understand and we should be sensitive to the anti-colonial sort of post-traumatic stress disorder that exists, and justifiably so, among Hindus today, and they're like ultra sensitive to anything that even smells remotely of colonialism, given just how atrocious the colonial regime, first with the Muslims and then with the British, has been. And so therefore, if anything kind of even smells remotely of colonialism, it's like, oh my God, colonialism 3.0, we're not gonna have it. But this is not colonialism. Think about it. These are Russian, American, mostly white, Western, Vaishnavas, either born as Vaishnavas or converted to Vaishnavism. And the only thing they're trying to do in Hrisikesh is to bring other people from that same racial and cultural background to, as they have, adopt, and embrace Sanatan Dharma, to embrace and practice Sanatan Dharma. And in many cases, even start cosplaying, the traditional way of dressing in India. So you've got all these Westerners who are literally in my opinion, a little bit artificially, especially when it comes to dress and external culture, but whatever, abandoning their own external culture to embrace the external culture of Hindu India, and with their heart have completely embraced the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavatam, and so on, and are spending time and money. Like this one lady said, oh, they're getting paid. They're not getting paid. These are volunteers. There's maybe 1 or 2 or 3 who get a little bit of stipend because they're running the show, but it's not like there's a money-making endeavor here. It's actually in the red, but because they get donations, they're able to, so it's like a total free outreach program. And here she is complaining, but anyway, I'll get to that. So these people, you're gonna say that they're trying to colonize India? Or they have a colonial attitude? Similar to, for example, what the British did by, cutting off thumbs and getting them addicted to tea and, looting all their national treasures? No, you can't even compare. You can't even compare. Now, Hindus generally, in a lot of cases, tend to be so proud of their religion that they think they know better and they're just de facto better Shaivites or better Vaishnavas than whites or than anybody else. I'm Bharatiya, and therefore, de facto, I'll always be a better devotee of Vishnu or Krishna than anybody else born outside of India, which is not at all what the Bhagavad Gita teaches, but let's just run with it for a second here. If that's a fact, then naturally, again, you would want to be compassionate and understanding towards, those younger brothers or sisters of yours who are not so advanced as you, and give them a chance to advance. If you're a mother or a father and you've got hungry children and you happen to be a little hungry too, do you hoard the food and eat it first and say, sorry kid, if there's any crumbs left, I'll give them to you, but I eat first? No. A loving mother or a loving father, even if he or she has to starve, will give food preferably to the younger, to their own offspring, to their own children, right? So you can't have the cake and eat it at the same time. You can't on the one side have this thing, I'm Hindu, I'm Indian, I'm born in India, I know so much about the Vedas, and then not be compassionate enough, not be intelligent enough and decent enough to act as gentlemen and ladies and do the exact same thing in India as I just described with the Christian America scenario. So if I was this young lady and this man, on the one side I would say, yeah, look, I understand where you're coming from, but then I would tell him or her, just chill out, bro. You should only be proud and happy that Westerners are sacrificing their life to, popularize your religion. Of course, it's a transcendental knowledge and practice, we believe, but let's just keep it academic here, and let's just speak just as if, Hinduism was for Indians only and for India. I'd be like, chill out. These guys and these ladies are sacrificing their life to popularize your religion, to popularize your country. And out of their own pocket, how much money did you give to that program? How much money, how many rupees did you, young lady, or you, young man, give to that program? It costs money. And the space is limited. So just chill out and be grateful that somebody outside of your country is trying to popularize your own religion. And if there's a limited space there, don't make a hue and a cry, But on the contrary, be accommodating like a good host and realize that, hey, you know what? It's true. The space is limited. So if all of us Indians come in, there won't be any room left for the international people. Exactly like a mother or father who eats all the food because they're a little bit hungry, and to hell with the children. So what do you guys think? Do I have a good point or not? I think I have a good point. I agree. To summarize, I agree that ultimately we're supposed to see everyone as souls. At the same time, I think they're just acting like little entitled kids here. Chill out, be mature, be grateful. And actually, why don't you help the project and help the mission by, for example, taking a little bit of a step to the side, and why not go to the morning services, which are open for you, and leave the afternoon space for that limited amount of geographical space, specifically to help those younger or less mature or less advanced guests, ultimately, who are in your country, trying to learn about your religion. Thanks for watching.
Come to me.